can think of a number of underappreciated arcade games from the 80s that have not seen a revival in popularity. Xenophobe is one of those games. This was actually a really cool arcade machine when this came out in 1987. And I played this quite a bit because they had one at a local store called Hills, which was like a big department store. Hills. Anyway, it's a Walmart now. But they had popcorn stands and always one or two video games. At one point they had Xenophobe, and then I think they switched it out for Rolling Thunder, which is another awesome arcade machine. The cool thing about Xenophobe, well, there were a lot of cool things about Xenophobe, but what really stands out is that it had this really unique 3-player cooperative gameplay, similar to Rampage, where you could play with up to 3 people at the same time, in this unique tri-level split-screen design that I don't think I've seen in any other game since, or at least not done exactly the way Xenophobe did it. If you haven't seen one of these machines, look it up online because they're really unique. It's like each player got their own screen, yet there were still 3 people playing at the same time, which was different than, say, Rampage, where you had 3 people playing, but you were all on one big screen. In Xenophobe, the screen was broken into 3 little screens. Here on the Nintendo Entertainment System version, they keep that split screen thing, but you can only play with up to 2 people. And although you were playing on your own personal screen, so to speak, if you entered a room where one of the other characters was, then you'd have them show up on your screen as well as you showing up on theirs. I think the arcade machine also had 9 playable characters total. Here you get 3. Xenophobe, the term, actually comes from Greek origins, xenos and phobos, meaning fear of strangers. One would be a xenophobe if they have xenophobia, fear or extreme dislike of strangers. And what movie came out in 1986 that was the highest grossing R-rated movie in history at the time? Aliens. In fact, one of my favorite movies, which popularized aliens and the cool style of the aliens from the movie and the term xenomorph. Sadly, this video game does not have the Aliens license, and therefore it has nothing to do with the movie Aliens, but I think certainly the homage to the style of Aliens is there, and you can even see it in the spaceship that drops off the guy to go to the planet. The front of the spaceship looks like one of the aliens. This is one of those NES games that I have fond memories of from when I was younger, and I've had tucked away in a shoebox full of NES games for about 2 decades now. After playing it for a while, I'm going to tuck it back into its box and put it away. This is one of those games that I remember being better than it is, and this is a far cry from the excellent arcade machine. I guess that didn't bother me as much 20 years ago. Xenophobe was a popular game back in the day and actually saw its appearance on many game consoles, including the Atari 7800. And I have that version. I'll cover that in a separate review. This game gets boring real fast, and it's not very challenging either once you figure out what's really going on. You're playing as one of the 3 characters. You can select them at the beginning. You start off each level with a crappy laser gun. The first 2 or 3 things that you destroy in a room give you something, like a skull or a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk or guns. So you really want to just shoot 2 or 3 things in each room and move on. And once you finally get yourself an upgraded weapon, you can forget about it. You can just go slaughter everything without mercy. To defeat the aliens, for the most part, you wait till they jump near you, jump over them, shoot them in the back, and then move on. Basically, you just run around and shoot as many things as possible, collect as much stuff as possible, because that's what really gets you the points. You get 1,000 points for each item that you collect, and then eventually you'll have, quote-unquote, cleared the base of Xenos or aliens. It gives you a giant silver gumball, and then you get teleported back off to wherever the f*** you came from. I was so bored after playing this game for about a half hour, and my whole objective was to see if I could roll the score over from 999,999, and it doesn't do that. It's very anticlimactic. It just stops at 999,990. Just give me the other f***ing 9 points. Aside from the fact that this game has above average music on the NES, some nice bright, colorful, high contrast visuals, and it's a fairly nice trip back through memory lane. Xenophobe is probably one of the NES cartridges you can leave off your list of must-buy games. If you want to play Xenophobe, it's definitely more fun, much more fun, in fact, to play with a friend. And I'll give you a quick glimpse here of what the two-player screen would look like. But this is actually one of those games I could see being remade again with some improvements for one of the new online game consoles like the 360, PS3, or Wii. And I'll take a look at the Atari 7800 version of Xenophobe in a separate review, which is interesting because it has a completely different visual style and suffers from terrible controls, although there's a couple things that are actually better about the Atari version. In any event, if you can find an arcade stand-up machine of Xenophobe, that's the one you want to play.